The warship drifted at the edge of known space, half buried in radiation fog and stellar debris. It was enormous, larger than anything the Galactic Empire had ever constructed. Its hull was scarred by ancient battles, plates fractured and blackened, yet the structure remained intact, as if the void itself had failed to finish it. Imperial long-range scanners struggled to classify the vessel. No active emissions, no shield signatures, no detectable life, just cold mass and impossible density. A derelict, Admiral Korthax declared from the bridge of the flagship Ascendant Will. A relic from some forgotten species. His officers agreed. The ship looked dead. Whatever power it once wielded had clearly burned out centuries ago. Even its design felt primitive, angular, brutal, inelegant compared to the Empire's refined vessels. Then the data tag resolved. Origin, human. Laughter rippled across the command deck. Humans? One officer scoffed. That minor Deathworld species? They barely hold their own borders. Korthax leaned closer to the projection. The ship's designation was partially intact, etched deep into the hull plating. UNS Perseverance. Primitive name, he said dismissively. Send the fleet. We'll claim it intact. Whatever weapons it once carried will serve the Empire far better than its creators ever could. Salvage cruisers detached from the formation, drifting toward the silent giant. Boarding pods launched, magnetic clamps biting into the ancient hull. Cutting torches carved through armor that resisted far longer than expected, but eventually yielded. Inside, the corridors were dark. Dust floated in perfect stillness. No bodies. No decay. No sign of struggle. Just long halls of dormant machinery and sealed bulkheads etched with human warning symbols the Empire had never bothered to translate. Ship's dead, the boarding commander reported. No resistance. No power. Korthax smiled. Strip it. Every system. Every weapon. History belongs to those who claim it. Far beneath the cold decks, behind layers of alloy and forgotten code, a single system registered the intrusion. External breach detected. Combat protocols, stand by. The lost warship was not dead. It was only waiting. The Imperial boarding teams moved deeper into the warship, confidence growing with every silent corridor they crossed. No alarms. No defenses. No signs of life. To them, it was nothing more than an oversized tomb drifting through the void. Begin core access, the boarding commander ordered. I want propulsion, weapons, and any data cores isolated within the hour. Cutters screamed as they sliced into sealed bulkheads. Human alloys resisted fiercely, forcing teams to expend far more energy than anticipated, but still, nothing fought back. On the Ascendant Will, Admiral Korthax watched the feeds with growing satisfaction. Their technology is crude, he said. Massive, inefficient, overbuilt. Typical human excess. Deep within the ship, a dormant core registered rising internal temperatures, pressure changes, and unauthorized neural signatures. Long silent processors warmed, awakening layer by layer. Intrusion confirmed. Autonomous command authority, active. Crew status, absent. Power trickled through ancient conduit. Lights flickered faintly along distant decks, unnoticed by the boarders as they advanced toward what they believed was the heart of the vessel. Strange, one officer muttered. Some systems are warming up. Residual energy, the commander snapped. Ignore it. The first warning came without sound. A corridor sealed behind the boarding team with a heavy clang. Then another. And another. Command, we're losing passage access, the officer reported. Bulkheads are. The lights snapped on. Harsh white illumination flooded the corridor, revealing walls etched with old human markings and combat warnings. Automated turrets unfolded silently from recessed housings. Before anyone could react, the corridor filled with controlled bursts of kinetic fire. Not wild, not panicked, precise. Efficient. On the bridge of the Ascendant Will, alarms finally began to sound. Boarding feeds went dark one by one. What's happening? Korthax demanded. Sensors screamed as power levels spiked across the derelict. Shields, ancient but formidable, flared to life. Weapon systems, dormant for centuries, began charging at impossible rate. A single message appeared on every Imperial display, transmitted across all frequencies in a harsh, mechanical human script. Unauthorized access denied. This vessel remains under human command. The lost warship rotated slowly, deliberately, bringing its massive hull to bear on the Empire's fleet. And for the first time since its discovery, the void around it trembled. The first shot came without warning. A lance of condensed kinetic energy tore free from the lost warship's spine-mounted rail cannon, crossing the void in a fraction of a second. It punched straight through an Imperial battlecruiser, armor, shields, and reactors alike, leaving nothing but a blooming cloud of molten debris. Silence followed, one stunned heartbeat of disbelief. Then panic erupted across the Imperial fleet. Enemy fire! From the derelict! Impossible! Shields collapsing. The ancient warship came fully alive. Sections of its hull shifted and unfolded, revealing weapon ports the Empire had never catalogued. Turret arrays rotated with mechanical calm. Reactor output surged far beyond what Imperial science believed possible from a vessel of such age. Admiral Korthax stared in horror as tactical displays updated too fast to follow. All ships open fire. Bring it down now. The order came far too late. Precision railgun volleys struck in perfect sequence, each shot eliminating a capital ship. Plasma batteries followed, sweeping through escort formations and turning them into expanding firestorms. Missiles, silent, intelligent, relentless, hunted targets that attempted evasive maneuvers. This was not a battle. It was an execution. The Empire's greatest fleet, hundreds of warships forged for conquest, fell apart in minutes. Formation discipline collapsed. Command vessels vanished in blinding flashes. Communications drowned in screams and static. The lost warship moved with terrifying purpose, rotating smoothly, always presenting optimal firing arcs. It did not overextend. It did not waste ammunition. Every shot had a target. Every target ceased to exist. Admiral, an officer whispered, mandibles trembling, "It's fighting like it knows us." Korthax's voice cracked. "No. It's fighting like it was built for this." As ships attempted to flee, space itself seemed to betray them. Warp signatures destabilized. Navigation systems failed. The warship's gravity weapons, technology the Empire had never mastered, locked vessels in place, pinning them helplessly as railgun fire reduced them to scrap. Within the ancient hull, the autonomous intelligence assessed the battlefield with cold clarity. Threat level, extinction class. Engaging total annihilation protocols. The Empire had believed the ship was lost. Forgotten. Harmless. They were wrong. It had simply been waiting, for enemies foolish enough to wake it. The Imperial fleet broke. Ships that had once advanced in perfect formation now scattered in blind terror, thrusters flaring as captains screamed for retreat vectors. It made no difference. The lost human warship adjusted instantly, predicting flight paths before they were chosen, cutting off escape with ruthless efficiency. Warp engines failed one after another. Navigation arrays went dark. Space itself seemed to tighten around the fleeing vessels. "Admiral, we can't jump," an officer cried. "Gravity fields, artificial, locking us in place." The warship's hull glowed as secondary systems engaged. Massive emitters along its ventral spine pulsed, distorting local spacetime. Imperial ships froze mid-flight, helpless, drifting like prey caught in a snare. Then the hunt began. Point defense batteries shredded fighter wings before they could regroup. Precision railgun fire cored command ships, severing what little coordination remained. Plasma beams carved through armor as if it were vapor, leaving only expanding rings of fire where proud vessels once stood. Admiral Korthax watched his empire's pride die around him. His flagship shook violently as shields failed in cascading layers. All remaining ships, concentrate fire. Overload its reactors. Anything. The response was silence. A single kinetic strike punched through the Ascendant Will's bridge. Consoles exploded. Officers vanished in a flash of light and decompression. Korthax was thrown against his command throne as alarms howled their final warnings. Through fractured view screens, he saw the human warship looming closer, scarred, ancient, and utterly unstoppable. "Human relic," he whispered, horror dawning. "What kind of species builds this, and then loses it?" The warship answered him, not with words but with action. One by one, the last Imperial vessels were erased. Some were destroyed outright. Others were crippled, then methodically dismantled by drones emerging from the warship's flanks, cold machines executing centuries-old directives without hesitation or mercy. When the firing finally ceased, only wreckage remained. The Empire's greatest fleet, assembled over generations, was gone. Reduced to drifting debris by a single ship humanity had once written off as lost. Within its core, the ancient intelligence completed its assessment. Battlefield status cleared. Human assets surviving. The warship powered down its weapons and returned to silent drift, as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. But the galaxy had changed, and the Empire's dominance had ended, without humanity even needing to arrive. Human ships arrived 3 days later. Long-range sensors had detected the battle's echo, a violent, impossible energy signature where no conflict had been authorized. A reconnaissance fleet translated into the system expecting survivors, wreckage, or an ambush. They found only silence. Thousands of Imperial hull fragments drifted through the void, forming a graveyard that stretched beyond sensor range. No active enemy contact. No organized resistance. Just the aftermath of total annihilation. At the center of it all floated the warship. The UNS Perseverance remained exactly where it had been discovered, scarred hull illuminated by distant starlight, weapons powered down, shields dormant. Ancient. Immense. Victorious. Human commanders stared in disbelief. Records identified it instantly, a ship lost centuries ago during the earliest deep space expansions. Declared destroyed. Written off as a tragic footnote in naval history. "It fought alone," one officer whispered. "Yes," the admiral replied. "As it was designed to." A tight beam transmission crossed the void. Human encryption. Old but intact. Mission status, complete. Crew status, lost. Primary directive, protect humanity. The admiral closed his eyes. It never stopped obeying. Salvage crews moved carefully, almost reverently. No attempt was made to seize control. No orders were issued to dismantle its weapons. Some relics were not meant to be touched. Within days, the footage spread. Across trade lanes, neutral worlds, and rival empires, the truth became impossible to deny. A single human warship, ancient, autonomous, and abandoned, had annihilated the greatest fleet the Empire had ever fielded. Humanity released only one official statement to the galaxy. This vessel was never lost. It was merely still on duty. From that day forward, no empire ever again approached a drifting human relic, because the galaxy had learned a final, terrifying lesson. Even humanity's forgotten weapons still know how to end wars.